So, I don't know about human robots, but I am interested to hear more about this robotics and AI and how they're coming together. And our next speaker, Shadi Elaridi, will be presenting on that. So,
all right. Hello, everyone. My name is Shadi Elaridi, and I'm the founder and CEO of Swish Robotics. About 3 years ago, I was a graduate student at Stanford University. I just wrapped up my undergrad and started my graduate studies. And one of the most remarkable things in my life happened. I lost access to my school's dining hall. It was an incredibly devastating time in my life because, you see, up until that point in life, I really had one of two ways to get access to food. The first was something I think everyone here is familiar with, their mom's cooking, which is absolutely incredible in my particular case. But the second was my school's dining hall. And so, as you may imagine, it was quite catastrophic when I just suddenly had lost access to that. And so I found myself between classes, waking up early in the morning, before dinner at night, coming back home and spending hours cooking, chopping, cleaning, and everything thereafter. And I thought to myself, I'd been building robots since I was 8 years old. I won the World Robotics Championship when I was 14, and ultimately ended up at Stanford studying robotics. I've been building robots for a while. And I thought, I'm positive that there's something that exists that could automate this for me. And so I go and I type into Google, home cooking robots. And the first thing that shows up in bright blue, this is before there was the AI search overview, in bright blue was Roomba robot. It was a fucking Roomba robot. We had all of these tools that we developed as roboticists over the years, but we had still lacked this ability to develop home robots. And I realized right then and there that it really wasn't our technological advancement per se, but we'd been focusing on the wrong things for quite a while now. And this is really what I want to talk to you guys about today. And it is that, in general, we have spent our focus on humanoid robotics, industrially as a whole, and that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. And I'm going to try and keep this in plain English, because I think I saw people raise their hands. Who, again, just who's building in robotics in general, or has built? Okay, this is why I'll keep it in plain English. And I also promised my mom I'd send her the video. So those are two good reasons to keep it in plain English. And I think this really hinges on three main points. And the first is one that none of us are really strangers to, per se. It is the technology that's associated with humanoid robotics. It is a multi-degree of freedom. In fact, was just talked about recently, a 50-ish plus degree of freedom clunky figure that sort of walks around your home. And so from a mechanical perspective, it is a difficult task to build, and we're quite a ways away from building a truly solid mechanical robot. Only recently did we really see the launch of 1X, which entailed a solid mechanical figure, but not quite there yet. From a software perspective, I think all of us realize the gap between where we are and where we need to be for humanoid robotics to actually take form in the home. And from an electronics and mechatronics perspective, it's a difficult task. We're a bit closer there. But really, it is the software that is the bottleneck right now. And a portion of that, of course, is the data. And we're at a similar crossroads to where we were about 10, 15 years ago with self-driving cars, where it's like right around the corner, it's right around the corner, it's right around the corner, and like 3 years later, it's still right around the corner. And 10 years later, we just have started seeing self-driving cars be a bit more mainstream and people actually taking them places. So that's the first point, it's the technology. The second is the price point. And I really think that this is something we tend to neglect, and a lot of VCs that I talk to completely neglect this, mainly because of the tax bracket that they're in, but just generally completely neglect this. And you see a robot priced at $20,000, and I spend a lot of my time focusing on the American market specifically, and $20,000 is quite a steep price point. It is not one that the average American individual is able to afford. And if you're choosing between a Toyota Camry and a humanoid robot, it's very hard for me to believe that the vast majority of Americans would pick a humanoid as it stands. And the third is one that I think we all tend to neglect quite a bit. And it is the social ramifications that's associated with humanoid robotics. And I actually had a portion of this that I'd planned out, but I went on a walk yesterday in Lisbon, and I got to speak to somebody. I was walking for about 3 hours, and it's a beautiful city, by the way. I don't know how you guys live here and get anything done. But I was going on a walk for about 3 hours, and I found this beautiful coffee shop, small coffee shop, with this old grandma-type lady inside. She could barely speak English. I could barely speak Portuguese, the few words I have on Google Translate. And we found ourselves talking about robotics after. So she gave me a small little espresso shot. I sat outside, and she came and joined me. And she asked me what I'm here for, and I told her I was here for this AI conference. And asked a bit more questions, and eventually we got to humanoid robotics. And she's like, what is a humanoid? And so I showed her the video of what a humanoid is. And the first thing she said, what I learned to be was the Portuguese word for devil. She believed that there was a devil inside of this. And it's a bit of an exacerbated version of this story, but I really do think that it encapsulates quite well what the vast majority of people tend to think when it comes to humanoid robotics in general. And I don't think we're quite there societally where we're willing to accept having this 6-foot-tall, steel-like figure in our same homes as a Chihuahua and a 3-year-old. And that's really what I want to hint at. And the question is, okay, well, if humanoids are shit and they don't work and they're not the future, then what is the contrapositive? What is on the other side of this argument? And there are actually quite a few answers in the robotics world. What I tend to focus on is individual task robots that solve one problem at a time really, really well. So for us, we're focused on cooking. We're building a cooking robot that cooks full meals in 20 minutes. You put your ingredients in, you click a button, and 20 minutes later, you get a full meal that's cooked in one pot. It's very similar to what us as humans would be doing, except the task is so narrow that it's actually plausible today, not in 10 years. And there are many, many different areas of robotics that can be pursued in the same vein, specifically for the home, whether it's folding robots or folding laundry or cutting your hair, whatever it may be. There really is a future in robotics where robots don't look like us, and they don't have to look like us. And so with that, I'd like to leave you with a few points. The first, which I've been iterating this entire time, is that robots don't necessarily need to look like us, and they can be built for specific use cases and find tremendous markets. And the second is that we need more tools in this space as well. And so I thought to myself, I have about 10-ish minutes to come speak here. What should I sort of highlight? And really, it's a lot of bright people in the room from all across Europe building software and various tools. It makes a ton of sense to be building both products and tools for the space right now. Individual task robots that solve one problem at a time. With that, that's all I had to talk about. I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much for your time. And yeah, enjoying the rest of the conference. Cheers.